In this video, we are going to look at one of the best EDC knives that has ever been made, I believe. This particular knife is going to be in the brown Delrin cover. Now, Case has used the brown Delrin for many years, and it's truly one of the sturdiest materials you're going to find on a knife. They're usually hold up very well, and they are classic looking. There is no doubt about that. Down at the pawn shop, knives come in all the time. No matter whether it's the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it seems like you're constantly seeing knives come in with the brown Delrin on them. And it is a good look. I think one of the reasons why so many people love it is because it is kind of a mild kind of look. It's kind of traditional looking, it's kind of mild, it's kind of conservative maybe. And this particular knife here is in brown Delrin Case Slimline Trapper. We see a lot of these come in and go out. Down to pawn shop, they come in quite regularly, and they always sell quite regularly. I've traded for them. I've traded brown Delrin Slimline Trappers for brown Delrin Slimline Trappers, and this one here is my favorite of all the brown Delrin ones I've found. Case made a change in their brown Delrin. If you pay close attention to it, you'll notice there has been a fundamental change made. On a lot of the older brown Delrins, they tried to make it look more like bone. It'll get darker in some spots, and it'll get lighter over here toward the edge. And you can kind of see that on the Slimline Trapper, that it gets darker in some spots, and it's lighter on others. But the newer brown Delrins, the brown synthetics, if you go buy one, it's going to be this even brown color across the whole handle. See if you can see the difference there. The new ones are lighter. They're closer to the color that this one is up here by the bolster in this little spot that has no jigging, that smooth spot. And all of the new ones, from what I can tell, from about the year 2000 on, are one color like this, more of an even color. And the older ones are get darker in some spots and lighter in others. And I don't really know, but I'm assuming Case stopped doing it this way because so many people were getting it confused with their bone handles. And so they started making it just an even brown, so it was easier to tell that it's not bone, but it is a synthetic Delrin. But I like this one the best. Now, this is a Workman Series knife, and on Workman Series knives, they don't polish up the blades a lot, like on this little peanut. They kind of leave them a satin finish. They call them an as-ground blade. And this one was like that when I got it. But I went ahead and buffed the blade on up to a mirror polish. I just liked the way it looked on this particular knife. So you can see I've got that blade all polished up and all shined up. Here you can see the number, 61048. 6 meaning that it's got the brown Delrin handles, 1 being its single blade, and 048 being the handle for the Slimline Trapper. This one is a 1998 model, if you notice there. Case XX USA, and then it has 2 dots under it, so it's a 1998. You also will notice that on this particular one, Rusty Miner was talking recently about how some of the older cases that he has have a blade that cants down. That is true. That's an interesting phenomenon you'll notice. A lot of the older cases, the blade, instead of being in line with the handle, it will cant slightly downward. One of the benefits to that is if you're cutting rope or cutting tape or something, it pulls the material you're cutting into the blade rather than sliding the blade off of the material. So that is an interesting quirk about these, a lot of these older cases. Although to my knowledge, the modern Slimline Trapper, I believe in brown Delrin, I believe it still cants downward slightly. But as I said in a previous video, the yellow Slimline Trapper does not. The blade is straight in line with the handle on it. But as for the brown Slimline Trapper, it's got a nice wide clip blade. You can see it's got a small swedge at the top there, and it's just a handsome looking blade. Some of the reasons, I think, why these have been such classically carried knives, that people have actually carried and used, is one thing is the weight. This knife comes in around 1.70 to 1.75 ounces. They're lightweight. The length is just over 4 inches, somewhere around between 4 and 4 and an eighth, somewhere in the middle there, but it's closer to 4 than 4 and an eighth, at least this particular one is. And so it don't take up too much room in the pocket. But the handle, as you can see, is still plenty big enough to get a good grip on. And my hands, I wear size large gloves. I can get a good grip on this knife. And it's plenty big enough to do whatever I need it to. The other thing is, as it's called a slimline trapper, because it's so slim, it's not as wide, so it don't take up as much room in your pocket. It's also, since it's a single blade, it's a nice little narrow knife. So overall, it's just a great carry knife. Now, to compare it to a few others that it will probably get compared to, whether you're someone who does a lot with case knives or whether you're somebody who's looking to buy a first one, when you look up trapper, you're going to usually run into 3 kinds. This is called the slimline trapper. This is the regular trapper. The regular trapper is a 2-bladed knife, usually. There are a few 1-bladed versions, but for the most part they're 2-bladed. And the regular trapper, as you can see, the blade is slightly longer, and the blade is wider, and the handle is a whole lot thicker in every kind of way. And so that's why this one is called a slimline. And Case has made the slimline trapper for many, many years. Another thing that we ought to point out is the bolsters. Some of these slimline trappers are what's known as a bear head, like this one. It only has a bolster on the top. You can see this regular trapper has a bolster on each end, but the slimline trapper only has the bolster on top. Now, there are some slimline trappers with bone handles that do have a bolster on the bottom, but the classic one in synthetic only has the bolster on the top. And this one, of course, is a 54 pattern, where this one is a 048 pattern. The other knife that it might get compared to is the slimline trapper, is the mini trapper. This is the slimline here in the brown, and this one in the green is the mini trapper. The difference in these, first off, is the mini trapper is going to have a half stop, which the slimline trapper does not. That means your blade is going to click into place at a 90 when you open it like that. Also, the mini trapper is going to have 2 blades instead of just 1. But beyond that, the mini trapper is not going to be as long or as slender of a knife. You can see the slimline trapper is considerably longer than the mini trapper, both the handle and the blade. But at the same time, it's a lot thinner than the mini trapper. So it's one of those things that when you're looking up a knife you're going to carry, you'd have to decide, would you rather have 1 blade or 2 blades? Would you rather have a more slender knife or a more stocky knife? That's really the question. Now, they do make some older slimline trappers with 2 blades. They are out there. Case hasn't made any in a few years. And they also make some mini trappers with single blades. But for the most part, the mini trapper is going to have 2 blades, and the slimline trapper is only going to have a single blade. So yeah, this is a great option out there. If you're looking for a good carrying knife that you can use and enjoy that will make a good user, you can find these used for really good prices. I paid $10 for this particular one. Now, I did a lot of work cleaning it up, but I paid $10 for it. You can find them all day long used in the $30 range. And you can find them new somewhere between $40 and $50. But they're a really good knife, and if you're looking to get into a traditional slip joint, these brown slimline trappers are classic knives. Everybody out there, y'all have a good day, and keep your knives sharp.